Webster branch of the Wayne County Public Library. And in today's Tuesday Crafternoon, I'd like to share with you a new hand-stitched card pattern. This time we have a couple of bluebirds and a spring or summer flower that you can share with friends. So what you'll need for this is the usual, your cardstock, 8.5 inches by 11 inches, cut in half, and then each half folded. You'll need the pattern, which we will have at the reference desk come July, and we will also have in the take and make kits that I will do for July. You'll need a beading awl or an awl and a piece of scrap cardboard for when you punch out the holes. Don't want to make a mess. You will need tape and scissors, needles, and your embroidery thread. So for this, we've got a few more colors than usual. There'll probably be a couple of very small pieces in the take and make kits, like for the brown or orangey underbelly for the bluebirds, and something for the flowers. But otherwise, you've got blue for the birds, some green for the leaves and stems, and then a little bit of black or dark brown for the eyes. So I already have mine punched out, ready to go. I know it's kind of hard to see here on the screen, so hopefully you can see it. I've got my flosses threaded up. I've got 4 needles ready to go this time. So let's get started. Now, as you might guess, since we have a lot of different elements on this card, it's going to be a little more complex than what we've done before. But the stitches are all ones you're familiar with. We've got the half and half for the leaves and for the individual parts of the flower. We've got the reach to give you that nice curve for the bird's wings. You've got just some straight stitches, some running out and back stitches here for the tails, for the bellies, and for the stems. So we'll just break it down color by color and make it a little bit easier that way. I'm going to start up here with the flowers. Now you can see there's 4 separate parts of the flower together, and each one of those is a half and half stitch. These will be marked on the pattern so that you know where to stitch, where it goes to, and then to work your way around. I already have my needle threaded. So I'm going to start with this first one here, and this hole right before it joins the next flower is where we're going to start. So I'll go ahead and come up from the underside. And remember, we do not use knots to secure the thread in place. We're going to use tape. To hold that in place. Okay, so from here, we're coming straight down to this hole. And even though we're calling this a half and half stitch, you can tell these shapes are not really even. So they don't look like 2 equal halves, but they will have an equal number of holes on each side. So start there. And as always, I like to work my way around clockwise. So I'm advancing 1 hole, going clockwise, then crossing up to this hole. And you just cross it back and forth. This is one where you will definitely want to follow along with the picture, just so you can see which holes get used or which ones don't. It's not really clear just from having all holes to work with. Trust me, I know. took me a while to figure this one out. But that's the first blossom. Then I'm going to come over to this one, and I'll start from the bottom and work my way up. So this one is going to be this hole right here, the lowest point. So we'll do that. And we cross up to this one. And this is always a good point when you can double check against your pattern. All right, so if I do that, how many holes do I have on either side? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that looks about right. And honestly, if you're not entirely sure and you end up making what you think is a mistake, fake it. Probably you will be the only one who knows. So just do what you can and should work itself out. If it doesn't, and you're just not happy with it, you can always take your stitches out and try it again. And believe me, I have done that as well. Not on a super big pattern, but on a small thing like this, yes, I have definitely done that. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. And if you make mistakes, take notes so that the next time you do it, you don't make that same mistake. All right, now I'm going to move to this side one, and you can see it's almost like it's turned to the side. It's very, it doesn't fill in right here, and it's almost flat in this curve on the outside. So I'm going to start here at this bottom hole and work my way up to the top again. Oops, that's the wrong bottom hole. Don't want to do that. All right, so actually this time I'm going to this hole. It's not quite the top of the flower, but this puts it at the halfway point. And yes, I had to double check the pattern. All right, now this one is really tricky because if you can see here, there are 2 holes that it doesn't connect to. So we actually skip over those holes and we're going to move to this one. So you're almost doing a T to start with. Okay, so that's that third blossom. And then let's see. This one, the top one is right here, or the center one that I want to work with. So I'm going to come over to that one. And it crosses over to this one. Now, would you have to actually start at those exact holes? No. As long as you can figure out wherever you start, how far you need to go to make it a half and half. So you'd have to count your holes, figure out what your midpoint is, and go from the hole you started at to the midpoint, and then work your way around. All right, right, that's not the right hole. Yeah, so you got to stop periodically and just check yourself. All right, so that's the flower, and I'll just go ahead and tape the end off. And trim. So I'll be back in a moment with the next step. Okay, next step, let's work on the leaves and the stems. So the leaves, again, are going to be half and half, and I want to start right at the tips. So let's start with this one. Now this first leaf is fairly straightforward. It's fairly even. So we're just going from one tip down to this one. And again, we're doing half and half. So you just keep advancing one hole going around clockwise. All right, so that's one, and I'm going to come over here to start at the tip of the other leaf. But let's take a look at this leaf. You can see we've got kind of a big gap here with the holes. So while I'm coming from this tip down to here where it joins the stem, there is going to be a bit of a gap, but there are still an even number of holes on either side. So it still works out. It's just not going to look quite the same as usual. All right, and that's just enough to help us finish off that leaf. So I'll go ahead and tape that down. And I'll set that aside, rethread, and do the stems later. But let's move on to, let's do the belly of the birds, because that's pretty easy and we can get that out of the way fast. You can see this top one, you're just looking at this curve of the belly, but the bottom one actually has a leg and a foot as well. So we'll do that one, and then you'll know how to go back and do this other one. So it starts, looks like this hole here. It doesn't join all the way back up to the wing. Or we can start up here from the beak. I think that might be a little smarter place to start. Okay, so this is kind of like a running stitch, you know, the up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But we're going to work our way back too to fill it in. So it's our running out and back. So you just come up one hole, go down the next, up the next, down the next. Basically, you're making a line of dashes. So they're pretty easy to do. You just have to know where to start and stop. All right, this is where I stop and turn around and head back. Okay, now this is about the point where I want to make a little side trip here and go ahead and build up the leg and then the claws. So I'm at the hole where I want to just go down here, and then I'm going to come up the next joint of the leg. And let's see, we're going over to this one. And I'm going to come back to that same hole to do the other two as well. Now, as I look at the one I've already done, I can see I should have done that green line first and then do the claw over it. So that's my mistake. I can fix it later, or just not worry about finishing this card because it is kind of a practice card for me. And then I'm going to work my way back. Oops, wrong hole. And now I'm going to come back and try to work my way through this stubborn hole and finish off the leg here. And then I'll finish the line. that fills in that line. So we'll go ahead and tape it down. Trim the thread. And there we go. So you'll do that exact same kind of stitching here for the belly of the other bird. And this is the same stitching for the stem lines. Now, if we want to move on to the bird, this is where it can get tricky because we need to do the beak kind of like we did with the leg. So you've just got a couple of straight lines here. This top bird has one section here of the reach stitch. And then once we get to the back of the head, we're doing a different reach because these are much longer lines to give you that nice thick curve to show the wing. And then for the tail, again, you're doing that running stitch out and back. For the bird down here, you don't have two separate reaches. This is just the same reach pattern going all the way around here. So I will focus on this first bird and then just tell you about the second one. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to start here by the eye. That's what I want to do. All right. Sometimes you have to think strategically about how you want to stitch, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. All right, we got that taped down. Now we've got 3 lines going from the inside out to this one point. So here's the first one. And back to this hole, out to the same point. And then up to this one. Oops. Get that knot out. And back to the point of the beak. And then to do this top reach point, I'm going to start at this hole again. So now you see why I wanted to start from the inside going out, because I have to come back up to this hole again. And this reach is going to be 4 holes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Back 4. Head 1 and forward 4. Oh, another knot. Let's get that fixed. And up to the next hole. And back 4. So for the top of the head, you're just doing reach 4 times. So head 4, back 4, head 4, back 4. And then I'm going to come back to this hole here and start my next reach pattern. Because the next reach is a long one. This one is 12 holes because it's going to take us down to here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we move forward 1 and go back 12. Now, if you wanted to, you could stop here and go ahead and do the tail feathers. I think I'm going to wait until I come back around from this angle, or you could do them separately. Totally up to you. All right, now I'm back to the point where I can go ahead and do the running out and back stitch for the tail feathers. And it's pretty much straight lines, except you get a little bit of a V at the end here. So what I like to do is just kind of go down and up the lines and then work my way back. Nope, that wasn't right. Let's do that again. Okay. Okay, so I come back up to here. That's right. It's a little bit of a tricky one. This is one where you really have to pay attention. But given all that you've learned already with all the other card kits, I think you can do it. All right, that's as far as I can go on this thread, but you can see how this curve is starting to take shape. So I'm going to leave it there with that one, and I will finish the tail feathers later, but you can see how those finish up as well. Like I said, with this bottom one, you're going to start, once you get the beak in, you're actually going to start with the middle hole here for the beak. And this one is a reach 11. So counting from here, it would be 1, 2, and then up around until you find 11. It's somewhere in here. And, go forward 11, come up 1, go back 11, come up 1, and work your way around this curve again. And then make sure you do your tail feathers. Again, they're just the lines coming out in little V's at the end. So let me stop there. I need to rethread a couple of needles, and then we'll come back for the final little tidbits. Okay, last round. I'm going to show you a little detail from the stem and these leaves that are up here right underneath the blossoms. These are still part of that running out and back stitch, but just to show you where those end up going. Let's see, so I'm going to start, I'll just start right out here at the edge. So what we have essentially are two diamonds and a triangle. And I'm going to start here on the top. And now as I go around a second time, actually, I am going to, well, no, I can do the going back. That's probably easier for you to see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's one diamond almost done. Come back to the bottom of the triangle and finish that off. And then let's finish off this diamond. And there we go. So that finishes those, and then we would just come back down to the bottom of the triangle and do our running out and back stitch. And I'll go ahead and show you where this joins up to the other stem. You've just got a nice little V in here. So this one will go back up this way. The rest of the stem goes this way. So that's all there is to stems. These stems are going to go the same way, and this one down here should have been done first before I did the claw, but I'll go back and fix it later. Not a problem. It's not life or death. All right, so we'll get that out of the way. And then the last thing I want to do is the eyes. And these are going to be easy because there's just 6 holes and you're basically making a star. Excuse me. I'll try and stop knocking that about. This again is half and half, but it's super, super simple. Top to bottom. Move one hole over. across. One hole down and across, and boom, we've got an eye. And you'll do the same thing down here. So once again, I am not going to try and stitch the entire card here on camera because, as you can see, I've still got a lot more, and we've probably been going for about 40 minutes, and I do not want to bore you so that you don't ever come back to look at another card video. But this gives you an idea of the different stitches you're going to be using, how they will end up looking. And like I said, there is a pattern in the Take and Make kit or that will be available at the reference desk that gives you not only the hole punching pattern, but some of these details of where to start your half and half stitches or how far you reach, especially here for the birds. It'll all be laid out for you. So there, you've got a nice summary card. Kind of fits in with our summer reading club theme of all together because, of course, we've got two birds singing together. Hopefully you'll give this one a try, even though it looks a little more complex than what we've done before. You can no, we're not doing sign-ups for the Take and Make kits at this point. They will be first come, first serve. They will be available, I believe, in mid-July. So check the library's calendar of events. Put that date on your calendar and show up and grab one of the first kits. So in the meantime, stay healthy, be kind, and get creative. Bye-bye.